Hey there, I'm Rebecca Joe, and this is week 5 of Rhythm and Order, Katonah Yoga practices for the fall. I'm really glad you joined me today. This is one of my favorite practices of the series. It's a really nice, supportive practice with lots of restorative shapes, somatic exercises to help you get in more touch with the patterns of your own movement, as well as how you communicate and relate to the world around you. Set yourself up well, gather as many props as you need, give yourself plenty of space to move around, and let me know your feedback. Ask questions in the comments, share your experience. Please subscribe to my channel if you like it. Your support means everything to me. Have a beautiful class, and I am here if you need me.
We'll begin today in a prone position, lying face down on your belly. If you know that you have sensitivity in the front of your hips and your pubic bones, place an unfolded blanket underneath the front of your hips for soft padding. Stack your hands, palms down, and rest your forehead on the back of your hands. Rock your hips from side to side and bring your feet a little bit wider, making little movements to help you settle into this face down shape. I love to start a practice in this prone position in somewhat of a protective shape. We move through the world with the soft belly and our most vulnerable spaces out and exposed. So this gives us this place of comfort and protection. So we really can utilize the stability of the floor beneath us to give us the protection we need to feel safe enough to be soft. We did a lot of work last week and in the previous weeks in finding integrity and stability, and we did all of this core work, and part of that practice of finding grounding, finding stability is knowing when to let go, knowing when to soften our edges, and knowing when to allow ourselves just to settle and be present with whatever process we're finding our way in. And so today's class is really about that softening and what it takes to allow ourselves to be supported and to be held, and the process of getting to that place of being able to communicate enough within our environment to let anyone or anything know that we need that support. So we'll be doing a little bit more exploratory movement, a little bit less rigid, a little bit more organic, as well as some longer, deeper holds where we'll utilize a lot of support. Now bend your knees and float your heels in the air and start to rock your feet from side to side. Allow this movement to be easy and flowing. No need to go too far in one direction or the other. And then start to create a little more organic movement, circling your feet. You can circle the feet together, you can circle them in opposite directions, switching whenever you're ready. So this just becomes about feeling your feet in space, feeling the rocking of your hips. Move slowly or quickly as it feels within your natural rhythm. And then again, rocking from side to side, and eventually releasing your feet back to the floor. Feel your lower body connect a little more intentionally into the ground by lightly plugging your pubic bones and the tops of your feet into the floor. And then bring your upper body over towards 2 o'clock, extending your left arm and resting your forehead on the back of your right forearm with the elbow bent. Guide your breath into your left side body and left lung, expanding from the upper to the middle to the lower side ribs, and eventually even into your left side waist. Take another breath or two into your left side body. Take another breath or two into your left side body. On an exhale, bring yourself back to the middle, forehead to the back of your hands, realigning the left and the right side body. Notice any new sensation from that little bit of movement. And then bring yourself over to the left so your crown extends out towards 10 o'clock, right arm extends alongside the ear, left elbow bends, head resting on your left forearm. Move your breath now into your right lung, right side body, expanding from upper ribs, middle ribs, lower ribs, right side waist, maybe even expansion into the right hip. Take another breath or two here, breath or two here. And then bring yourself once again back to the middle, forehead resting on the back of your hands. Lift the back of your head, slide your elbows underneath your shoulders, palms flat for Sphinx pose. If this feels like a lot of a back bend to begin, slide your elbows a little forward so your chest can lower towards the ground. Continue to connect the tops of your feet and pubic bones into the floor, and then round your spine, dropping your chin to your chest. And lifting your chin, draw your chest through your arms. So you start to make this little cat-cow movement with your breath. This time we'll inhale to find that extension, the lift of the chin. And as you exhale, draw your navel in, drop your chin to your chest so you feel a little bit of a light engagement. Finding the contraction, finding the stability, and then finding that moment of softness and allowing the belly just to drop. Bend your right knee, take a hold of your right ankle, and then rest your forehead to the back of your left forearm. Just opening up the front of your right thigh, a little quad stretch. If reaching your foot does not come easily, you can always grab a strap. Take that strap at any length, wrap it around your ankle, and then hold the strap instead so that you're not putting a lot of pressure on your knee joint. Just taking that as far as it feels safe for you and to the depth that allows you to maintain steadiness and ease to your breath. Take one more breath here and then release your foot. Switching sides, lift your head, coming back through Sphinx, just to make it a little easier to take a hold of your left foot and then rest your forehead on the back of your right arm. Know that this side may feel a bit different, so do what you need to do to support yourself here. Again, you can take that strap around your ankle, making sure that you can maintain ease within your breath, that there's no pinching or sharp sensation in your knee joint. Taking a last breath and then releasing, foot to the ground. Rest right cheek down onto the back of your left hand and then bring your right arm alongside your body. This is a slow somatic exercise working with the cross line of the body. When you breathe in, lift your head along with your left hand and elbow as if you're trying to lift and look over your left shoulder. Do this about 5 times, slowly inhaling to lift, exhaling to lower. And as you isolate the movement of the upper body, observe the cross line of sensation all the way into your right hip, maybe into your right leg. Now rest your head and move only your right leg, inhaling to extend and lift the right leg, exhaling to set it back down. It doesn't matter how high you lift here, go slowly. Feel again as you make this action of lifting the right lower extremity, what happens across the line from right hip to left shoulder, where you feel maybe a little bit of engagement of compensation and support. And then rest your foot down. Take a pause, notice new sensation, especially along that cross line from left shoulder to right hip. And then you'll lift everything together. So left arm, head, and right leg all lift together as you inhale and rest back down as you exhale. Take about 5 or so rounds of this simple movement. Go very slowly and just observe what comes into action to lift you. And then what do you feel as your body settles back down into stillness? What sensation is there? Rest your forehead on the back of your hands. Take a pause in the middle. Rock your hips from side to side. And then switch. Left cheek will come to the back of the right hand, left arm alongside your body. With your inhale, lift your head, keeping the hand connected to your cheek. Look over your right shoulder. And as you exhale, set yourself back down. 5 times, slow and steady with your breath, noticing now that cross line from the lift of the right shoulder and how that affects over to the left hip, what you feel in your back as you move, and even how your left leg might start to engage here to help support that action. Starting to trigger and play with what's called the green light response, that nervous response that we learn as babies learning how to crawl, where we lift our head and start to look out into the world. And it's really the energy of being alert that fires up all of those muscles in the back of the body. So with your head resting now, start to lift just the left leg. Extending the leg as you lift, only lift as high as you can with a sense of ease. Now observing the cross line from left hip to right shoulder and how it's almost as if the right shoulder wants to lift up in balance of that action. If it's challenging to maintain a straight leg, notice that. And then feeling again for extension rather than height. And so this is less of an exercise to build strength in the back of the body and more of a practice in awareness and connecting our mental process with the physical muscular action within our body. As you're ready, connecting the movements, lifting right arm, head, and left leg. Looking over your shoulder as you inhale, keeping the connection of your cheek to your hand. Feeling upper body and lower body lift in equal measure, and then rest back down and giving yourself that moment of pause to feel the effort settle back into the ground. And so what happens when we give our mind something relatively simple in action to focus on? Are you able to stay in? Does your mind wander? Bring your hands to stack under your forehead again, finding neutral in your spine. Observe any new sensation in the back of your body, any shift in your breath rhythm. Scan the length of your body with your mind sweeping your gaze from the crown of your head to your feet and back up again. Notice physical sensation. Anything new since the last time we rested in this shape? Place your hands under your shoulders. Press yourself back to sit on your heels. We'll remain in this prone orientation for a little longer, setting up for a supported frog pose, which is very similar to a child's pose, just using a little bit more support and props. Place a couple folded blankets underneath your seat, with your knees wide and your big toes together. If you don't have two blankets, you could take one blanket and just roll it. And I'll show a few variations of block support to rest your head and chest. I, for now, have one block on the middle height just under my sternum, one block on the flat and wide position under my forehead. If you happen to have 4 blocks, you can take 2 more on the highest height, angle them in at about 45 degrees with the edge of furthest away from you pointing in, and then you'll lie yourself back down, setting the head of your arm bone on those tall blocks. So you're creating a lift of the arm bones and a spread across the collarbone. Check in with all of the positioning. If you don't have all of these blocks and you prefer a bolster or a pillow, you could just rest face down on that. If you happen to have a sandbag, slide it over the back of your hips to help ground your hips into the blanket. Re-extend your arms alongside your ears and then walk your right hand over towards 2 o'clock, left hand over towards 10 o'clock. Cup your palms away from the floor so you're just on the tips of your fingers and get this little bit of lightness in your upper body. Allow the weight of your arms, your chest, and your head to drop into the support of your blocks or bolster, whatever you're working with. And know that this is a proportions thing. So if this isn't comfortable for you, adjust. If you need more height, add to it. If the block underneath your rib cage feels like it doesn't work with your anatomy, remove it. It's about supporting you and the body that you're in. I personally have a tendency to sink into my chest, so I like to have that block support as a boundary. And if you have that same tendency to really drop down in the middle of your body, it's a nice way to hold the scaffolding and the frame of your torso. If that's not your issue, you may not need it, and you might be fine just with the block under your head, maybe the block under the arms if you happen to have them available. Notice the movement of your breath like a gentle wave up and down the length of your spine. With your inhale, allow your soft belly to descend down so you release the grip and the tension. With your exhale, just lightly engage navel towards spine to help move the breath out. With your breath in, expanding upper, middle, and then lower back. With your breath out, lightly engaging low belly, navel, and upper abdomen. Finding just enough contraction to move the breath out, to clear the space, to empty out, and make room for the next cycle of breath. If you're content here, feel free to stay as you are. Otherwise, we'll start to play with some twisting within this shape. If you have blocks under your shoulders, slide them out of the way, and then either turn the block under your ribs on the flat and wide orientation, or you might find that you want to move it all together. Thread your right arm underneath your left shoulder to begin, extending your left arm forward again. Adjust your blocks so that you feel supported, but they're not in your way. And then you can either stay in that thread the needle shape, or bring your right elbow in front of your left knee, make a fist with your right hand, stack your left palm on top to twist. Rest your head back to the block to find yourself back on your plumb line. And you might even find that you want to lift the block to the middle height so that you have a really clear axis from your crown to your tail. And so we first find the stability in the hips and the low body. We then find the extension from the crown to the tail. And then finally, when we have all of that, we rotate. Unwind, forehead down, and extend your right arm alongside your ear again. Take a pause in the middle. Notice how that felt for you. And when you're ready, you'll switch, threading first left arm under the right. You might choose to stay here. keeping your forehead down, or bringing your left elbow all the way in front of your right knee, work into your twist. Make a fist with your left hand, stack your right palm on top. Bring your left temple onto the block. You may even start to bring the back of your head onto the block as you take your gaze up. Feel your hips grounded and stable. Feel your extension from your tail out through your crown, and then find the rotation around that central line. Rotate to the point of natural resistance without forcing the turn, coming back to the grounding effort, to the extension, and then maybe playing with revolving again. Slowly unwind as you're ready. Rest your forehead down again. Take a settling moment here to find neutral in your spine, to notice the sensation in the body after that rotation. Observe anything new that comes into your attention. So we continuously come back to that effort of finding center within ourselves, of returning to our breath, using our breath as a tether, using the tangibility of physical sensation as a connection and a path to bring us back into our body when our mind wanders. Take your time to press yourself back up to sit. Slide your props out of the way just so that you can come to sit all the way on the ground. And we'll transition to set up into a supported fish. I'll offer a few variations, so you may just want to kind of watch me go through them all and then decide if you want to land. The first version will use 4 blocks again. So obviously if you don't have 4 blocks, this won't be for you. The reason to use 4 blocks is to get more elevation and lift for your rib cage in this shape. So we're creating a shelf essentially for our heart and lungs. You'll do this version just with your legs extended out in front of you. And you can take a strap and wrap it around your thighs to help bind and hold your legs together. If you have a sandbag, you can place that on top of your thighs to ground your legs. And then you'll lie back slowly over the blocks. So I have 2 blocks side by side on the highest height, just under the shoulder blades, and 2 blocks stacked underneath the back of the head. The height of that depends on how much of a back bend you want. And you can see I've turned it now so that the back of my head can rest on the lower end of the block. Taking opposite elbows around my head, I can rest my forearms on the far end of the block. You could simply bring the back of your hands to the floor in a comfortable position so that your palms turn up, you have space across your collarbone, and you're not making any effort to hold your arms in place. Second variation will use the same leg position, but now working just with 2 blocks if that's what you have available, as well as if you prefer to stay in less of a back bend and a little bit lower to the ground. 1 block will go on the middle height, wide now across the back of your shoulders. And then the other block, again, the height depending on how much of a back bend you want. Once you land, same idea here. Either taking opposite elbows around the head or just resting the back of your hands to the floor, palms facing up. Variation number 3 will work with a butterfly leg using the strap to stabilize your legs in place. Bend your knees, opening your hips, soles of your feet together. Loop your strap around the back of your hips, over the top of your thighs, and under and around your feet. You can use a block to measure the distance of your feet. 1 block's length is usually a pretty good distance for most people. And then support your legs either with folded blankets, pillows, or a couple of blocks so that you're not making any effort to hold your legs in place. Lie back over the blocks again in the same way that we set up before. If you don't have a strap available or a strap long enough, you could support your legs with blocks or blankets. It all just adds to the level of stability that you have available to you so that you don't have to work as hard to hold it together. The last variation of this shape will work with the same lower body, and I'll add that if you have sandbags, you could place 1 on each upper thigh to help ground your legs as you extend your spine back. 4 blocks this time, as I showed in variation number 1, 2 on the highest height under your shoulder blades, 2 under the back of your head at the height that gives you the degree of back bend that feels appropriate for you right now. Grab opposite elbows around your head, or simply rest the back of your hands to the floor. And so now whichever variation of that shape that you found yourself in, make sure that you feel supported, that you feel comfortable, at least comfortable enough to begin to settle into the support rather than holding yourself above it. Settle back into the rhythm of your breath, noticing the natural in and out flow. the quality of your breath, the length, the depth. Observe the transition of your breath. Does it feel smooth? Does it feel edgy? Does the process of breathing feel like a lot of work for you right now? If so, can you ease back into a more gentle rhythm, allowing your breath to come and go with little interference from you, simply observing, watching, witnessing, and allowing for a depth of breath to occur through the process of release and the opening of space. For those of you who do not enjoy lying back over blocks, if you have other variations that you prefer, say using a bolster, take that instead. Support yourself in the way that you need to. I don't happen to have a bolster, and so I didn't demo that version. That's just another more supportive, softer way to lie back, especially for those of you who don't want to go into a big back bend, but maybe just want to recline back instead and be supported in that way. We'll take just about another minute in this supported back bend. If you're just now getting yourself set up into the variation that works best for you, feel free to pause the video and hang out a little bit longer. If you've been hanging out with your hands on your elbows, be sure to switch the cross of your elbows so you move out of that habitual pattern, stacking the other forearm on top. Practice shifting your awareness back into the physical nature of your body with that same sense of ease as you're watching your breath. So anytime your mind wanders off, notice, and with the noticing, become aware, and with the awareness, shift. And so there's no sense of fight or forced effort in the practice of coming back to yourself. If you've been holding your elbows, take a few moments to release your arms back to the ground. Rest the back of your hands heavy to the floor. Let your shoulders drop. Take your last few breaths here. Deepen your breath just a little bit to support yourself when you're ready to come out. Tuck your chin. You could place your hands at the back of your head. Eventually bring yourself upright to sit and slide your props off to the side and out of the way. Lie on your back in a constructive rest position and be sure that there are no props in the area around you, as we'll move into some more playful movement that will take us off of the sides of our mat. If you like to have extra padding, you could unfold a blanket, lay that over your mat. That way, as you roll from side to side, you'll still be on top of that soft surface. Extend your arms, shift your hips to the right, and then stretch your legs down towards the bottom left corner of the mat to come into banana pose. Hold your right wrist with your left hand, moving your upper body to the top left corner of the mat. And you can cross your right ankle over your left if you're able to still rest the weight of your right hip to the floor. Finding an even balance of extension from right ankle to right wrist. Visualize the path of your breath moving from your left nostril to your right side lung. Inhale, a wave of expansion down your right side body. Exhale, soften the weight of your hips and shoulders into the ground. Take one more round of breath here and then return your upper body into neutral position. Uncross your ankles, set your feet about as wide as the mat. Reset your sense of center. When you're ready, move to the other side. Slide your left foot to your right, maybe crossing left ankle over right. Open your left side body, extending your left arm towards the top right corner of your mat and holding on to your left wrist with your right hand. Visualize your breath moving now from your right nostril to your left lung. Move your awareness along with your breath, passing down the left side of the body as you inhale and back up again as you exhale. Notice new sensations. And then slowly return your upper body to neutral. Set your feet wide off the edges of the mat. Reestablish center. Bend your knees and return to constructive rest position. We'll move from here into a supported twist. Curl yourself over onto your left side to start in a fetal position. If you have a blanket nearby, you can slide that in between your knees to add a layer of support to the lower body. Curl your knees up towards your left elbow and then slowly roll your right shoulder back to the ground to open into your twist. Find a little more rotation by bending your elbows, pressing the back of your arms into the floor, and rotating the ribs to turn you. If you find that your right shoulder still doesn't land on the ground, fold that blanket again to give yourself a little bit more support between the knees, as well as ease any strain in the lower back and sacral space. Return to the visual of breath moving from left nostril to right lung. And then slowly curl back onto your left side into your fetal position. Take your time to come onto your back, pause in the middle, and then curl into a fetal position on your right side. Hug your knees tight towards your right elbow, roll your left shoulder to the ground, extend your arms, open into your twist. Move breath and awareness from right nostril to left lung, and adjusting in your turn as feels necessary by pressing the elbows alongside the ribs so you find the rotation in the middle of the body rather than straining in the lower back or the neck. If you feel a lot of pressure in your neck in that turn, just place the back of your head down and look up at the ceiling, always making sure in twists especially that you're able to maintain a spacious breath in your rotation. Start to slide back over onto your right side, move your blanket out of the way and come onto your back. Roll onto your left side again, returning into that curled up fetal shape. And we'll start to move through these flows of contraction and expansion. Reaching through your right arm and right leg, come onto your back, extend fully into a big X or starfish shape. And on your exhale, curl to the right, coming back into a fetal position, knees and elbows hugging into each other. Make a tight ball. Expand as you inhale, reach your arms and legs out. Curl to your left as you exhale. Start to find a continuous flow, making this movement a little bit more rhythmic as you come into a place of familiarity with the coordination. Moving through waves of contraction and expansion, opening, breathing in, curling into yourself, breathing out. Feeling your body move through space, letting yourself take up space. Extend fully onto your back, reaching through hands and toes. Come into a big X, breathing in here and exhaling, allowing your body to settle into the ground. Give pause for that experience to land in your body, for your mind to process the movement. And we'll start to expand on that motion. This time, reaching your right arm over, you'll pull yourself onto your front body. And then lift your right leg, reach it back behind you to pull yourself onto your back again. Cross your left arm over, pulling yourself over to your front body again, and then pulling back through your left leg, roll onto your back. Then continuing rolling side to side, using the movement and the extension of the leg to pull you on the back, the reach of the hand to pull you onto your front body. Familiarize yourself with that new motion and the new space around you. And then you can start to play with an extension as you come onto your belly, sort of Superman stretch, lifting your chest, lifting your feet, pulling yourself over onto your back, and then pulling yourself over onto your front. So this isn't a big roll through the midsection of the body, but rather the reach of the hands and the feet, the cross reference of the body, moving from side to side, once again taking up space. Feeling what's happening around you, exploring the way that you relate to the space around you and the way that you communicate with your environment. Right? And that may mean negotiating space with the objects around you, with people around you, navigating your circumstance, and harmonizing your experience, your rhythm, with that of the environment that surrounds you. And eventually coming onto your back again, allow yourself to land, to settle, process. to be in your experience and to observe. Sweep your awareness from the crown of your head to the soles of your feet and back up again, noticing new sensation, taking in new information without judging, criticizing, or needing to understand. Slide your legs together, interlace your fingers, and press your palms away from your head, reaching from hands to feet. And then bend your knees, feet back to the floor, hug your knees to your chest, and slowly roll up to sit.